Doge dollars? Really? Friends, gather round. It seems the year is 2025 and the political whimsy never ends. Just when you thought things couldn't get any more bizarre, here we are, diving headfirst into the surreal. Remember Donald Trump? Of course you do. The man who thought windmills caused cancer, the reality TV star turned president who never ceased to surprise us with his unconventional ideas. Well, he's back with a new idea, and it's just as head-scratching as you might expect. Just when you thought the political landscape couldn't get any more unpredictable, Trump has managed to outdo himself. He wants to give every American adult a $5,000 check. But wait, there's a twist. This isn't your ordinary stimulus check, and not just any check, a Doge dividend check. Yes, you heard that correctly. Doge, as in Dogecoin, the cryptocurrency that started as a joke. Yes, you heard that correctly. Doge, as in Dogecoin, the cryptocurrency that started as a joke. A meme coin that was never meant to be taken seriously, now at the center of a national economic proposal. Now I know what you're thinking. This has to be a prank, right? A fever dream brought on by too much spicy pizza? But no, this is our reality now. Sadly, no, the former president seems utterly convinced that showering Americans with Dogecoins is the key to, well, something. Maybe it's economic prosperity. Maybe it's restoring his image. Or perhaps it's just another chapter in the never-ending saga of Trumpian theatrics. Economic prosperity, restoring his image? Who knows? The logic behind this move is as elusive as the man himself. But one thing's for sure, it's got everyone talking. Honestly, at this point, I wouldn't be surprised if he proposed building a wall around Mar-a-Lago and making Mexico pay for it, in Doge. The absurdity of it all is almost too much to handle. Stay with me, folks. This is going to be a bumpy ride. The world of politics has always been a roller coaster, but this is a whole new level of wild. Buckle up, because the ride is just getting started. Alright, so we've established that Trump's plan is about as well thought out as a raccoon trying to steal a bag of chips from a vending machine. But let's entertain this madness for a moment, shall we? How does he propose to pay for these generous Doge dividends? Well, according to Trump and his merry band of yes-men, it's not about spending money. Oh no, this is about money. You see, the government is apparently riddled with wasteful spending. Shocking, I know. Trump claims that by slashing the federal budget, we can magically conjure up trillions of dollars to fund these Doge-licious handouts. He's essentially proposing we raid the government's couch cushions for loose change and hope it's enough to buy everyone a Tesla, or at least a year's supply of ramen noodles. Now, it's no secret that the US government has a bit of a spending problem. For years, the federal budget has been a topic of heated debate, with politicians and economists alike trying to figure out how to balance the books. The issue isn't just about numbers on a page, it's about the future of the country and the financial stability of its citizens. It's like a teenager with their first credit card, except instead of racking up debt on concert tickets and avocado toast, they're spending trillions on, well, that's a whole other show. Imagine the excitement and the lack of foresight that comes with that first swipe. Now, multiply that by a few trillion, and you get a sense of the scale we're talking about. In 2024 alone, the US government raked in a cool $4.9 trillion in revenue. That's a staggering amount of money, enough to fund countless programs and initiatives. But revenue is only one side of the equation. Sounds like a lot, right? Enough to buy a small country or two? You could fund education, healthcare, infrastructure, and still have some left over for a rainy day. But the reality is far more complex. But here's the kicker. They spent $6.9 trillion. That's a massive gap, and it doesn't take an economist to see that spending more than you earn is a recipe for disaster. This kind of fiscal policy leads to a ballooning national debt, which future generations will have to deal with. That's right, folks. A whopping $2 trillion more than they brought in. Imagine running a household this way. You'd be in serious trouble, and the same goes for a country. The consequences of such overspending are far-reaching and can affect everything from interest rates to social services. It's like going to a casino, betting your life savings on black and ending up with empty pockets and a crushing sense of regret. The stakes are incredibly high, and the margin for error is slim. When the government gambles with its finances, it's the citizens who ultimately pay the price. Trump's grand plan hinges on the idea that we can simply cut our way to prosperity. The notion is that by slashing spending, we can balance the budget and reduce the national debt. However, this approach has its critics, who argue that cutting essential services can do more harm than good. But as anyone who's ever tried to balance a checkbook knows, it's not that simple. Balancing a budget requires careful planning, tough choices, and sometimes sacrifices. It's a delicate balancing act that requires more than just cutting expenses. It also involves finding ways to increase revenue and invest in the future. Crunching the numbers, Doge dreams versus budget reality. So, let's do some back-of-the-napkin math, shall we? Imagine you're sitting in a cozy cafe sipping on your favorite latte and you decide to jot down some quick calculations, just for fun. The US government is apparently trying to trim the fat by a whopping $55 billion. That's right, 55 billion with a B. It's a number so large it's almost hard to wrap your head around it. Now that might sound like a lot of money to you and me. I mean, imagine what you could do with even a fraction of that amount. Pay off debts, buy a new house, travel the world. The possibilities are endless. But in the grand scheme of things, it's a drop in the bucket. When you consider the entire federal budget, which runs into the trillions, 55 billion starts to look like pocket change. Let's say, for argument's sake, that they actually managed to save this entire amount. No small feat, given the complexities of government spending and the myriad of interests involved. And let's say they decide to be incredibly generous and distribute it equally among every single American adult. A noble idea, right? Sharing the wealth, making sure everyone gets a piece of the pie. That's roughly 260 million people, a staggering number of individuals, each with their own dreams, aspirations, and financial needs. You know what that comes out to? Let's do the math together. $55 billion divided by 260 million people. A paltry $200 per person. Yes, you heard that right. $200. It's almost laughable when you think about it. Yes, you heard that right. $200. What can you even do with $200 these days? Maybe a nice dinner out, a few groceries, or a couple of tanks of gas. Not even enough to buy a decent used car, let alone a $5,000 Doge dividend. The idea of a Doge dividend sounds great in theory, but the reality is far less glamorous. It seems Trump's math skills are about as impressive as his understanding of climate change. Grand promises and lofty dreams often fall short when faced with the cold, hard facts of budget reality. Inflation nation, will Doge checks make it worse? Now, even if, by some miracle, Trump's Doge dividend scheme manages to defy the laws of mathematics and economics, there's another elephant in the room: inflation. You see, when you pump more money into the economy, prices tend to go up. It's like that time you went to a concert and they were selling bottled water for $10 a pop. Supply and demand, baby. Now, Trump's defenders argue that this plan is different because the money isn't being printed out of thin air. It's coming from budget cuts, which, in theory, should offset the inflationary effects. But here's the thing. Even a reduced deficit can still contribute to inflation. It's like trying to put out a fire with a squirt gun. Sure, it might help a little, but it's not going to solve the problem. The rich get richer? How Doge dividends could widen the gap. But wait, there's more. Even if we ignore the mathematical impossibilities and the looming threat of inflation, there's another major flaw in Trump's Doge-tastic plan. It could actually make wealth inequality worse. Think about it. Who's most likely to benefit from a sudden influx of cash? People who are already struggling to make ends meet, or people who have the means to invest that money and watch it grow? That's right, folks. The Doge dividend is essentially a giant wealth transfer from the bottom to the top. It's like giving a billionaire a free yacht and telling a single mother struggling to put food on the table that she can use the money to buy a new pair of socks. So, what now? Time to Doge or dive into investing? So, there you have it. Trump's $5,000 Doge dividend checks. A nonsensical, mathematically dubious, and potentially harmful proposal that's about as likely to come to fruition as a snowstorm in the Sahara Desert. But hey, at least it's given us something to laugh about, right? In all seriousness, though, this whole debacle highlights the importance of financial literacy and responsible investing. Instead of pinning your hopes on government handouts, why not take control of your own financial future? Learn about investing, explore different asset classes, and start building wealth the right way. And hey, if you're really feeling lucky, you can always buy some Dogecoin. Just don't come crying to me when the bubble bursts.